Hey guys, Dr. Dex here. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about surface borders, why we do them and how we do them, and what's the reason for so many surface borders, doctor? Please enlighten me. Okay, sounds good to me, and I will. So if you like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell icon to be notified when we're putting out new content as well. So surface borders are really just a way to define the either perimeter or the center section of a deck. Most of the time, a lot of our surface borders are straight, but lately, over the last, I'd say 10 years, I've been going a little deeper and creating a lot of curves and doing curved surface borders right in the middle of a deck, just because I think that it's a cool way to break the direction of a deck or the lines of a deck without having to create a bunch of seams in the deck that are unintentional. I don't like to run random patterns too much. I really instead like to run full-length boards wherever I can in a deck, and if it's over a certain length and I can't make a board fit, then I have to intentionally break it somehow. When you use a surface border, you're creating a framework underneath that border to accept it. So by creating the framework the way you want to, you're usually going to create a better, healthy version of the deck by making it more robust, where all these boards are coming together. Not only do your field boards have to be supported, but so does your surface border. Now, when you're doing straight surface borders, you can do a couple different methods of installation. Mostly I call them a ladder, where you're just creating joists going the opposite direction to hold that board. If you have all your decking running this way, but your surface border is going this way, then your joists are going to be going this way for the deck board this way, but they got to change up for this direction when you're trying to run a board this way. So your joists run this way here, but then they run this way here. So when you're running two different directions, you actually have to create, it's a little bit more work, or actually it can be a lot more work, especially when you start doing them on curves. Because when we do surface borders on curves, we install a lot of flat blocking. So when we install a lot of flat blocking, that's on a curve, that's where it gets complicated, especially when you do a wide set like we did here, where we added a 5.5 inch board and a 3.5 inch board to create a 9 inch wide opening that we had to create support not only for that 9 inches, but also 1.5 inches on each side of that 9 inches. So if you had 9.5 or 9 inches and 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches, you need 12 inches wide minimum. But when you're going on a curve, you want to have a little bit of cushion in there so that you can make sure that all your field boards get locked down and all of your surface borders get locked down. And I like to use solid blocking because that way my curve boards have been modified with heat, and they might have a little bit of highs and lows, and I want to be able to put screws down anywhere I want along that run. Every 12 inches if I want, every 6 inches if I want. So we use a lot of Cortex fasteners when we're putting this stuff together, and that way we can make these boards, manipulate these boards, make them fit the way we want them to. So what I'm going to do right now, we've already got all this center, and you guys have kind of seen us working on that. So I think what we're going to do is just install a regular surface border. I'll get into talking about the framing a little bit, and then we'll get into actually installing the board. All right, guys, so what you see here is we have this AZEK deck. It's completely installed. We used a Fasten Master hidden fastener. The joists are running this way. They're every 14 inches. You can see the clips running through the deck boards if you look real closely. And so the joists are running this way. But because we're running a surface border in the opposite direction of those deck boards, we had to create the end of this deck with a side joist running this way every 14 to 16 inches. Plus we have our outside rim joist right here. So if we don't create this space right here, then we're not going to be able to have anything to attach this board to. So you got to make sure that you prepare your framing properly so that it'll accept all the alternate boards that are going all the different directions. Some of the boards are going the same direction and they can be framed in at the same time. You add all your blocking for your railing and all that stuff before you install your surface border. But then when you get to the edge of the deck, we use a track saw, a chalk line and a track saw, and we cut this line nice and straight, and now it's ready to have our surface border installed onto the side of it. So plan accordingly and make sure that you have the proper framing in place before you start trying to do a surface border, or else you're going to be in a world of hurt. You know, you don't want to jimmy rig this thing so that, you know, you're just trying to put a screw here and there, because that's dangerous. You want to make sure that this thing is installed exactly the way you need it installed so that it's not going to roll or curl or cup or anything like that. So I have this board kind of prepared and ready to go. I'm just going to show you how we install it, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so here it is. And this one we're going up against a brick wall. So I left a little bit of room for this board so it's not completely touching the wall. It's almost impossible to try and scribe this board up against all this unperfect surface. I've done it before, I've seen guys do it before, but it usually doesn't look as hot as if you just leave a little bit of a gap between the wall and your workpiece and keep your lines nice and straight and continuity with the deck, and then you have this little bit of a gap right here, which I'm not offended by at all. So you guys tell me what you think after the look, after we finish installing this board, and then leave your comments below and let me know what you think. All right, okay, let's do this. Okay, something else that you see us use a lot are these spacers. These are called Deckmate spacers. You get them right on the AZEK TimberTech webpage. I think I've talked to you about these before. These particular spacers have an 1/8 inch on one side and a 3/16 gap on the other. So I'm just going to use the 3/16 gap today, just to kind of give you an example of how, even as a professional, I use gapping tools all the time. It just makes my work go quicker, easier, and smoother, okay? So now, because the end of this deck has more than a 3/16 gap, we had to open up the gap a little bit to make these boards work, because this wall is not square to the house. So we opened up the gap and kind of faked it. So I'm gonna leave a bigger gap on this one end, but I'm still gonna run a 3/16 gap right here like that. Also, when you're running something and you have a gap, you gotta make sure that you don't put your screws too far this way so you miss the frame. That's very important as well. So I've got my gap here. I'm gonna double check this. I'm gonna run this board up against here and make sure it's a little, okay, so see right here? I don't like the way this is looking. I do a lot of butt joints. I don't do a lot of miters. There's a huge discussion online about it, about miters versus butt joints. Everybody's different. Everybody likes what they like. I just do butt joints because I find that they stay together a lot longer. They don't move around as much as if you do on a miter. We have railing right here as well, so that miter is going to get hidden underneath the rail. So I usually don't do it. One thing I do is see this edge here is not finished. I'll take a rasp. I like to kind of give everything a nice finished edge, like so, okay? But this board is a little off, and I noticed that when I was trying to put this gap in, that the gap's good here, but it's a little wider here, and if I take it up here, I can see it. So I'm gonna actually flip this board around, because I had it in the other way earlier, and it actually looked a little bit better. So I'm gonna flip this board. I'm gonna measure where I wanna put the screws on my outside edge. I wanna put them around 4 inches. If I get closer to 4.5, I'm gonna blow out the side of this rim joist. We don't wanna do that. So about 4 inches will be a good indicator where to put the screw. All right, let's see how this side looks up against here. I don't have a lot of room for my fingers, so. Okay, I like that better, because now this side's touching. This side's just a little tiny bit short. But what it's gonna do, it's gonna decrease the look and make it look like this gap isn't as big as it really is. So I like that. I'm happy with that. I'm gonna go ahead and install this. Sometimes if the board's giving you hassles, you might have to put in a couple gapping tools to get the right fit. It's like it's being a little tight on this end. So I'm gonna start by installing my first screw. Now I'm using the FastMaster Cortex system. These are stainless steel screws, and this is a Cortex setting bit. So you'll use this and you'll install this. So here we go. All right. All right, so that's a real basic tutorial on how to install and prepare for a surface boarder. If you like what you saw today, don't forget to click that subscribe button, hit that bell icon to be notified when we're putting out new content. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to leave a comment below and to like our videos. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.